Hi folks, Krystle here, movie reviewer. Decided to start review without Tommy because he's taking a poop right now. Told me I'd get started with that. So, we just watched The Master. Quick overview, no spoilers. Interesting movie. Very much talking about some psychological issues, past lives, deep-seated trouble, drug abuse. Very interesting if you like that kind of thing. Fantastic actors, fantastic acting. And so, no delay, we're going to talk about The Master. Tommy!
Right here!
Why'd you take the movie? What are you doing to that movie?
I love this movie and I hate it. Whoops. I have a bone to pick with this movie because, honestly, this film, its storyline is interesting, and just to say, my opinion,
It's just so hard to say. Love, hate.
There was
I love
a
you,
lot
I
of,
hate you, I love you, I hate you.
And on the internet, it says that you have to watch it many times just to catch the very aspects.
It's definitely subject to interpretation, for sure.
And in our situation, we kind of were interrupted a few times. And watching the film, of course, when you do have a 2-year-old, you have a tendency to pause movies a lot and tend to the 2-year-old.
Them young people.
Them young people don't know it. And Joaquin Phoenix is a brilliant actor.
Oh.
Just to say, with this character, we searched up on the internet, and there is no original story to this, and I'm thinking that this is a film that was just created.
Well, it's supposedly based, according to the internet, it was supposed to be some sort of overview, or some sort of a story, backstory, the origin of Scientology. Now, not that I know much about Scientology, but I definitely didn't get that impression from it. I didn't get the impression. This is actually the first film Joaquin Phoenix did after returning to movie making. You know, because he retired.
Because his brother died of a massive heart attack.
Well, actually, we found out that happened a long time ago. I thought that was more recent. But yeah, so this is the first film he did when he returned to acting.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. He's absolutely fucking brilliant.
Now, one thing about it is the name of the actor that plays the Master. What was his name?
Phillip Seymore Hoffman.
Hoffman.
Another
I'm gonna call him the Hoff.
Yeah,
the Hoff. The Hoff. Because he's the Hoff. The Hoff can do anything. Put him up against any star, but
he's great.
He's great. But the thing is, this film, me and Krystle going into it, were just boggled because
this is spoiler time. If you want to see this movie, I was going to say, if you want to see this movie, then you probably should. You really should. It's worth seeing once, absolutely. If nothing more than just the plot, the storyline, the concept, and the acting is all fantastic. But this is where we're going to get to nitty-gritty, so if you don't want to be spoiled for you, don't watch it anymore.
Go. Shoo!
So Joaquin Phoenix plays an amazing, drunk, crazy military soldier, just like a Navy, he was a seaman, in 1950. And Phillip Seymore Hoffman plays a doctor, a philosopher, he's a writer, he's a very, very intelligent man, and he has a theory about past lives and trying to heal people's trauma, their subconscious problems, by something sort of like hypnosis. And it's really very interesting. It's a little bit, Phillip Seymore Hoffman he's referred to as the Master at some point, and that's why it's called The Master. And it's a little cultish. He's kind of like a cult leader, except not so controlling and so, up his own ass. I mean, he's actually does try to help people.
But the thing is, Krystle, he, in my opinion, he doesn't control people, but he doesn't tell them to leave, but it's just the idea of him, the way his words is, and they follow his word. They follow his word like you would see a classic olden day, people praising over a god, and they follow every word. And the fact is that the character in the movie is named Freddy, and
Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix's character's named Freddy, and every single time, just spoiler alert, every single time somebody talks crap about the Master, Joaquin Phoenix will...
Freddy
I mean, Freddy will go off and he will beat the living snot out of somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he asks them their opinion of his ideas, and if they say anything bad about Hoffman's character, he's going to beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
He stays drunk all the time. He has a very specific mixture of, like, paint thinner and the various types of alcohol and some weird powder that he puts into this drink, and he's just effed up all the time. I mean, crazy effed up.
He reminds me of he reminds me of the Joker didn't put makeup on. Like, he's not...
And everything about the way the guy is it just exudes nuts. The way that he walks, the way that he looks, the way that he talks. It's fantastic.
And the way he talked, like, Joaquin Phoenix playing as Freddy was, you could say that every role he does, as Krystle said to me when we were watching the movie, going into the movie, that Joaquin Phoenix can do any role he can walk into. If you ask Joaquin Phoenix to play a turd, he would
he's going to play the best turd you've ever seen in your life. He owns every role. Whether the movie's good or not, Joaquin Phoenix is good all the time, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think he could play Andy Kaufman like Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman.
I don't know. I'd like to see him try, quite frankly, because this guy is amazing. But, you know, my question during this movie, of course, it's kind of, things change. Again, it's subject to interpretation, so it's going to mean something different for every person, which is why, another reason why it's a good movie. But if this situation was real, if you really had somebody like Freddy, and you had somebody like Phillip Seymore Hoffman, the methods that the master uses to try to make Freddy better, to try to heal him from his psychological condition, is, you know, I wonder, would this work? Would this really work? I mean, you know, hypnosis definitely works for people sometimes. You know, I've heard lots of stories about that, so I can see that happening. But there's this one scene where he's kind of forcing Freddy to walk back and forth in a room, back and forth, window to the wall, and telling him to describe how it feels. Close your eyes, describe what you feel when you touch the window, when you touch the wall. And he just do this over and over and over and over again. And I really don't know what that's supposed to mean, what's supposed to prove, what would it do? What would that really do for somebody? I mean, I don't know. Doesn't seem like anything, really.
Anything, during the whole movie, there's an incident with the master. Apparently he has stolen funds to support his cult. And Krystle doesn't call it a cult, but I call it a cult because it's people...
Cult is, again, a subjective term.
Well, you know, it was just my opinion.
It's also my opinion.
Mm-hmm. What?
I mean,
you were saying
I think you walk into a Pentecostal church, that seems like a big cult to me. It's just been grandfathered in, so nobody calls it a cult anymore. They call it Christianity.
We had different opinions on that, me and Krystle.
That's right. It's based on, what do you call that? Education.
Oh, I have education. Plenty of education.
Just joking. Anyway, rabbit trail.
But, yeah, went down the rabbit hole, found the rabbit, and he was smoking a joint.
I'll join him.
The thing is that he has been basically stealing funds, and the cops finally come to arrest him. And what does Joaquin Phoenix do as Freddy? Oh, he makes it worse for the master. He freaks out, and he fights the cops.
He fights the cops. They're trying to arrest him. He fights. He goes gets put in jail and destroys the cell. Breaks the toilet.
That was the funniest scene.
Absolutely screaming and cursing his head off. Tells the master that he hates him. That he's making all this stuff up. So Freddy's character obviously is very conflicted. He's very sad. He's very withdrawn. He's very lonely. And it's like, you know, he rejects the help, then he accepts the help. And he rejects the help, and then he wants the help. And he loves the master, and he hates the master. So after all of this, which is really like, kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. You really are like, what is going to happen next? And then, at one point, towards the end of the movie, Freddy and the master part ways.
Yeah.
And the master ends up
the reason why he parts... Well, I'm sorry. The reason why he parts ways with the master is the master is just going off and having a little fun. He was riding this motorcycle in the desert, and he's like, I'm going to ride it to this point...
And come back.
And come back.
Flat land, they're just speeding speeding fast, doing whatever, having fun. He lets Freddy do it. Freddy leaves with the bike, doesn't come back.
Yeah,
he just
he's
bolts.
Like, oh yeah, he decides, like, Freddy! And
and then Freddie rides to go see a girl that he was in love with. And Doris, her name gets brought up several times. Well, she wasn't around anymore. She moved away, got married, whatever.
had a baby.
Yeah, had 2 babies. Yet another thing that's very, very disappointing for the viewer, for Freddie, because this was the girl that got away. This was the girl that he was dreaming of going back to, and when he finally did, she's gone. And yeah, when he met her, she was 16. But yeah, so they part ways, and when Freddie leaves, however many months go by, and he doesn't see the master anymore until he gets a random phone call in a movie theater, no less, because
Casper's playing, and
because the master guy has a Casper's playing.
Yes, well, the cartoon series, but the fact is, what made me mad about this is how the master is like, you can hear him on the phone. It's like, he sounds like, in my opinion, he just sounds like he's in love with Freddie, and he's just like, Freddie, I want you to come back.
I miss you.
I miss you. Why did you leave? And the thing was, is Freddie
we're also missing another important aspect of this, is that the master, because he believes in past lives, believed that he and Freddie knew each other in a past life, that they had been close in some capacity, and that's why he saw this, that he was drawn to him the way that he was. And so then he wanted Freddie to come back to him. Well, at that point, he was in England. He had left the country, had another stationed his cult or whatever they called it the Cause. That was the name of his program, of his group, was the Cause.
Yeah.
And so he had reestablished himself in England, and so when he tells Freddie he wants him to be there, please come here, whatever. Freddie goes there, and
he comes in there, and as soon as he sits down, Mrs. Stuck-Up already had her baby already, says, how are you doing there? How are you doing, Freddie? And Freddie's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And she's like, you don't look like you're fine, Freddie. You look like you're not ready to be healed.
Well, she said, are you drunk? And he said, no, but that was a lie. And she said, you look sick. He says, I'm not sick. But he kind of was. He does look very sick, actually. He's very skinny. He's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I think, my opinion, is at that moment, the master and his wife, who is Amy Adams, both realize that they're not going to be able to help him. That they're just not ever going to be able to help him because he's just too stuck in his ways, or he's just going to reject it. He's never going to stop drinking. So then there's this whole scene where the master says, if you leave here, I never want to see you again. As if there was an option to stay. I guess there wasn't. Freddie didn't want to stay because he's a drifter or something. And then Freddie's like, maybe we'll meet in the next life. And then the master says, if we meet in the next life, we'll be sworn enemies, and I will show you no mercy. He tells Freddie how they had met in a past life and where they had met, and that he had found the place where they were connected. And then,
next scene, Freddie's in a bar, meets a sexy girl, and the most weird sex scene I've ever seen in my life. Freddie, the woman is on top of Freddie, and
I thought it was nice.
The woman's on top of Freddie, and then Freddie starts turning into the master, and I'm like, what? And he's like, what's your name? Tell me your full name.
He starts questioning the woman that he's having sex with, the same questions that he was asked by the master.
Yeah.
But it was a nice exchange, there was like laughter, and there was, it was a positive feeling, it was more than just sex. It was like he was actually connecting emotionally with this woman who he had just met after losing Doris. So there was sort of like a hopeful feeling of like, maybe this is a new beginning. Maybe he's going to take what he learned and grow and be happy. In the next scene, last scene,
he's on the beach next to the woman made of sand, which he dry humped in the beginning.
And let's explain that. So, now that it's all come full circle, the whole movie is basically his memory of all of this going on. It happened to him, but where he is currently in the present is he's a seaman in the Navy, and he's on the beach. the shore of wherever with a whole bunch of other guys who are also soldiers or whatever, and he's reminiscing about what has happened. So you kind of know that something went wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you know that's why he's there, is because he didn't find the hopeful ending. But instead of taking you there to some sort of finality, some kind of conclusion, there he is, next to the fake pair of sand titties that he made on the beach, because, you know, it's a wiener fest in the military, and, end. Roll credits.
Yeah, that's it. And that just really, me and Krystle looked at each other.
What the fuck just happened?
Freaking hell. This movie was I'm sorry, the story was decent, but
The story was great.
My film Oddball was a better, it was a short film, but it had a better ending than this piece of crap film.
Yeah, because it had an ending. I mean, I understand that things can be vague. You can have a vague ending. It doesn't have to be somebody dies, it's sad, there's your ending, or super happy ending. But this was just like, man, it took you on such an awesome journey. And the dynamic of these characters together were just so vivid and so real and cool. The whole idea of it all was really cool. If you like that kind of thing, I mean, it's very philosophical, very what if kind of whatever, spiritual. But you're rooting for Freddy the whole time. You're rooting for him so much, and then that's what you get.
That's what you get. You basically said, the director said, "F you, I'm not giving you a good ending." And just,
we don't want to write no more.
You know what we forgot to do at the beginning of this? 1, 2, 3. Movie review. Yeah, but yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, this is a movie review.
Yeah, this is a movie review. But just to say the actors, just to say, you could put decent actors in a horrible film and they will highlight the movie, but the storyline will just flop and fall on its face because the actors, okay, you could put Johnny Depp. I heard speculations of what is it, trying to think of it, Johnny Depp was in that recent film, Tonto.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see it.
But, you know, Johnny Depp was in there, and apparently it wasn't a good film. I'm going off on a different film, sorry about that. But just to say, folks, we review movies.
And before we end this, I just want to say, you should still see it. I mean, granted, if you watch this far and you haven't seen it, you might not want to see it. No, the ending isn't spectacular, but the journey is worth it. I'm telling you, man, just for a freaking Joaquin Phoenix playing this character is worth watching it.
Yeah.
Because he is that damn good.
Hoffman.
And Hoffman is also, I mean, they are right there. They got two of the best performers almost in Hollywood that they could get their hands on. I mean, I'm excluding a lot of people in that, but I love both of these guys.
The only thing I can say that's good about this movie is Hoffman and...
Oh, and titties.
What?
Lots of titties.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Lots of titties in this
Just
movie.
to say, me and Krystle noticed this. There was a scene in the movie
there were lots of titties, yeah.
Well, the master was singing, and at the beginning you see girls with clothes on. Halfway into the scene...
Randomly. It didn't happen before, and it didn't happen again after.
No.
Just one time.
Basically, girls with hairy black bushes and lots of titties, and all the girls are naked.
Just the women.
Just the women.
No men.
No men naked, and I just like...
And they're just standing around, sitting around, drinking, singing, laughing. Everybody's just carrying on like nobody's naked in the room.
Nobody's naked.
At what point did you decide that this is... What does that have to do? What did naked women have to do with the cause, with any of it? It was very random.
Cat!
Very random.
Nostalgia critic. Shout out to the nostalgia critic.
Hi, Doug Walker. I love you. You're
well, folks,
awesome.
Well, as always, we're the movie review crew, and we review movies.
So we have nothing better to do. Except to stand up and turn the camera off. So professional we are.